Breaking news is in. The Chicago Bulls might be looking to move Zach LaVine over to the Los Angeles Clippers. We're going to be talking about a tweet from Joe Cali, and also too we're going to be looking at a Bleacher Report suggested trade that the Chicago Bulls might execute in moving Zach LaVine over to the Los Angeles Clippers. This is your host Rico Greenhowe. It's another episode of Bulls Digest. Before we go ahead and jump into it, want to let you guys know that 77.7% of you guys that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you mash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the latest news and happenings around your Chicago Bulls. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the hot topic of the day, which is LaVine to the Clippers. All right, guys, it's like, are we serious right now? We just talked about how AK was saying that, look, Zach LaVine is healthy enough. He thinks that he could possibly help this team out. And now we're talking that Zach LaVine might be off to the Clippers here. All right. And so one of the things that AK did mention at the end of his statement was this, he's saying, look, everything is still on the table, all right? And it is a possibility that, yes, Zach LaVine could be moved at some point, but right now he's going to start the season off with us, right? And so I think that the Chicago Bulls are banking on the fact that they have talked to Zach LaVine and his camp, and they feel like the best case scenario for Zach LaVine is to come out to show that he can absolutely fit in. He can absolutely affect winning in the right way, right? Because right now, when you look at Zach LaVine, he is not the winningest player right now out there. So he's got to show that he can lead and actually help a club win. And I think that that, in fact, is going to help his trade value go up if that's what he wants to do. And also that means that the Chicago Bulls would not have to attach assets, which is one of the things that AK said as well. He said, look, we are going to be patient. We are not trying to attach assets, which I do love that about what AK said. He's essentially saying we're not going to hustle backwards, because generally when you go ahead and trade a star, you actually get assets back. You do not put assets attached to a star to get rid of him. So I do like that about AK, but this is what the tweet had to say. And remember, Joe Cali is a reporter that he reports for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he's also on the sideline from time to time at Chicago Bulls games, guys. But anyhow, this is what he had to say in the tweet. He said, look, people around the league are not ruling out the Clippers as a potential landing spot for Zach LaVine. All right, guys. And so, look, I think that this makes a lot of sense, all right, because the Clippers are heading into that new arena. I think that they do want star power. And I think that, yeah, they're looking at their roster and, they really want to somehow find a way to get a championship over to the Los Angeles Clippers. And I think that, they are going to want to get more star power for sure. All right. And so Zach LaVine would be a guy that now that they've struck out on just about everybody else, Zach LaVine does make a lot of sense there. He would essentially be that third scorer, right? Because James Harden, you have definitely Kawhi Leonard over there. So those guys are going to eat first, and then it's probably going to be Zach LaVine. And I think for the Clippers, this would probably help them as far as being a little bit younger there. They didn't want to be in a situation where, I guess with Paul George, I guess with his last offer, what he said in his podcast was, he wanted to get the same deal as Kawhi Leonard. And that included a no trade clause, guys. And I think that that was probably a no-go for the Clippers. They just didn't want to get locked into a situation not being able to move off of Paul George or Kawhi. And I think that between the two, I think the franchise probably favored Kawhi Leonard over Paul George. And so, we're really not going to know that, obviously, until down the line. But I think that that's what it comes down to. But anyway, for the Clippers, it makes a lot of sense for them to get Zach LaVine over. And it's absolutely going to make sense, especially if he can show, starting off the season that, hey, he can help a team win games without just throwing up empty stats. So I think that that makes a whole bunch of sense, guys. And so you can check out this proposed hypothetical trade. It is on Bleacher Report. It is by Greg Swartz here, talking about blockbuster deals, guys. But this is the trade in detail. So Zach LaVine over to the Clippers. You're seeing a 25-26 second rounder via the Nuggets. Then you get the 28s and the 29 second round picks via the Chicago Bulls. close to the Clippers here. The Nuggets are going to get Russell Westbrook, Amir Coffey there, and the Bulls are going to get Norman Powell. They're going to get PJ Tucker. They're going to get Bones Highland, and they're going to get Zaki Naji here. So look, I think that this is a terrific pickup for all teams involved. And I think that, with the Chicago Bulls picking up Naji, I love him as a power forward, guys. This guy gets a lot of rebounds out there, attacks the boards. I think with Bones Highland, here's a guy that could possibly, replace Bones Highland. You get Norman Powell over there, who's a natural sixth man, so I think that works out well for them. And then also too with PJ Tucker, that's a contract that you can flip unless he wants to stay there a lot like a Torrey Craig and mentor a little bit, but you can flip this guy and get him over to a contender. So I think that probably makes a lot of sense there. For the Clippers, I think what they're thinking here is that they are retooling their picks. All right, so they're coming back from where they went ahead. They gave off all those picks for Paul George in that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander situation. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to, help the Clippers turn the corner completely, but I think it starts to help them in the right direction as far as getting some picks back and moving the franchise in the right direction there for them. So I think that makes a ton of sense for the Clippers. They also get a player that can immediately help them right now, and he's younger than Paul George, so they get a chance to go ahead and take care of that, and he doesn't have a no trade clause on his contract. All right, for the Nuggets here, they're going to get an excellent sixth man with Russell Westbrook. You know what you're going to get from him. And then with Amir Coffey, I think that he is a terrific player. I think he's a breakout star waiting to happen, and it's an excellent situation for him to come off the bench, guys. I think that is a fabulous deal for all three teams involved. However, I have an added bonus, guys, and I was going in there looking at the trade finder, guys, and I think the Chicago Bulls can maybe dig a little bit deeper. I think that if AK were willing to get a little bit more aggressive, maybe pick up the phone, maybe he's able to get a couple more teams involved here. I think it's a deal to be made with the Charlotte Hornets, and I think the San Antonio Spurs might be interested in getting in on the action as well, guys. So this is my hypothetical trade, guys. But anyhow, so this is piggybacking off what we were just talking about with the Nuggets, Clippers, and Bulls, except that we throw the Hornets in here, and we're going to go ahead and send Lonzo Ball over to the Hornets. We would get Grant Williams over here. I think that the Hornets are able to now go ahead and use Mark Williams. They have Nick Richards at the center position, so maybe they move forward there with those two centers. Then with the Hornets, they also get Lonzo Ball over there with LaMelo Ball. This fulfills the prophecy of their father, LeVar, who thought that, hey, if you can get the Ball brothers together, perhaps you get a championship. So maybe the Hornets take a chance there. We obviously get a big that has been in the finals and that can absolutely help us and probably can make an immediate impact. And guys, he is 25 years old, so he would actually fit in our rebuild here, guys. And I think the added bonus, guys, is that we could come off of Vooch with the San Antonio deal. All right, and so I'm saying that we would get we would send Vooch over here, guys, and in exchange for we would get Zach Collins back for us. And so I'm not saying that Zach Collins is necessarily going to stay with us, but it essentially would get us off of Vooch. Vooch gets to go over here to the San Antonio Spurs, where it looks like they're putting a little bit more experience around Wembanyama, so maybe that makes a little bit of sense there. And perhaps, with what Pop is looking to do, maybe he wants to have an experienced lineup to close out down there in San Antonio. I'm not saying that Vooch is going to be there forever, but here's a guy that maybe he can help show Wemby some things there as far as finishing games. I think that's the same thing with Chris Paul. So I would expect for San Antonio to be a lot better than what they were a year ago with the veterans that they've added. And it's not uncommon for Pop to play two centers or two bigs together, right? I'm not saying that they're David Robinson and Tim Duncan. I'm not saying that at all, but he has done that before in the past, guys. And so it's not going to be a situation where I see Vooch is just there and he's just always backing up Wemby. Like I could see where Pop could go ahead and maybe throw him into some starting lineups from time to time, or at least utilize him and his experience over there. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments. I think that this would absolutely help the Chicago Bulls in their youth movement at this point in time, guys, because we need to clear up some playing time in order to get some of our young stars out there. And if you have not been paying attention over the last 3 Summer League games, I know it's just Summer League, but Modest Buzelis has shown us a lot, guys. And like, look at this, man. He is literally posterizing people out there. He's talking trash. He's competing a lot on the offense and the defensive end, guys. And look, I know we could go ahead and make Buzelis probably the 6th man off the bench, but I am ready to throw this man out here to start right now. I want his growth to be accelerated, guys, and I just think that there's too much stuff that Modest Buzelis has shown us that you know, he should not start his career on the bench. And I really do agree. I think with a lot that was said, I should say, during the telecast, guys, that look, by Sam Mitchell during the telecast, I should say, that this guy he might be the rookie of the year. All right. And I kind of agree with that. In this particular draft class, it's not like picks 1 and 2 are running away with this thing. All right. Because with what I saw yesterday with Ron Holland II, and then also too with Modest Buzelis, I mean, I think that these guys, they did themselves a good service by going ahead into the G League, because it looks like they are ready to go right now. Okay. And so I think that because he's ready to go right now and the way he competes, I don't even think it's going to necessarily hurt us that much as far as the record is concerned. I think that, honestly, I mean, I think it helps us. And I've said all along, I don't see the Bulls tanking. I think that they're going to still be competitive. They've gotten younger. I think that they're just going to add more pieces, and hopefully they're hoping to rise slowly in the Eastern Conference over time, and eventually hopefully they're able to kick in that door and get out of there. So that's the whole thing, I think, with the Chicago Bulls. But right now, with Modest Buzelis out there, I think that they absolutely can compete for a play-in situation, considering that we have a lot of experience at our young guys. I mean, Giddey's experience coming over with playing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over in the West. They've gone deep in the playoffs before. You have Kobe White, DeSumo. Those guys have been in a playoffs kind of situation or environment, trying to get in there with the play-in situation. And then you look at Modest Buzelis, the way he's competed. Patrick Williams has been with us since the start of this thing, so he's going on another, you know, couple seasons now with us. And so he's been around this program. He's been around DeMar DeRozan. These guys are experienced enough that I think that they can go ahead and take off right now with this youth movement. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Do you like the suggested trade by the Bleacher Report here that just has the Nuggets, Clippers, and the Bulls? Do you like my trade suggestion that includes the Hornets and the Spurs, and we also get off of Lonzo Ball and Vooch with my deal as well, guys? And so even though we're still talking about hypothetical trades, right, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.